Okay, so hello everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. And welcome to our webinar on the Art of HR Scorecard. First off, thank you for choosing to spend your Thursday late morning with us. There are countless of things you could be doing, but you're here eager to learn about the HR Scorecard, and we really appreciate that. Our call is being recorded, but before you leave right away, don't, because we will send out certificates of completion only for those who stay all the way through. You can expect very quickly. So by participating in today's webinar, you will gain valuable insights and skills to enhance your strategic HR management approach. So first, you will be able to understand the integral role the HR scorecard plays in aligning HR efforts with business objectives. Second, recognize the critical aspects that contribute to an effective HR scorecard. And third, skillfully start to construct HR metrics that are directly tied to your organization's strategic objectives. Sounds good? I hope it does. So let the adventure begin. Okay, so let's start with another warm-up poll by answering a simple question and trying out the voting button again, especially for those who were a little late. So the question you need to answer now is, does your organization use an HR scorecard? And if yes, how confident are you with its effectiveness? As I said in the beginning, the answers are anonym, so don't worry to answer. We won't see your names either, and nor the other participants. So by answering very confident, it would mean that you're certain that the org's HR scorecard is strongly aligned with the business strategy. That also means that the owner of the HR scorecard can clearly state the company's top business priorities. Somewhat confident would mean that it might need some improvement, and not confident means that, in your view, the HR scorecard would need a serious redesign. And if you don't use an HR scorecard, that's totally fine too. Please select the last, we don't use an HR scorecard. And after having voted, don't forget to submit your answer, for which you might need to scroll down on your screen. So super, I see answers coming in. Okay, most people are not really confident or don't use an HR scorecard. Okay, we can help you, by the way, but you know that. So thanks, guys, for the answers. Okay, 9 orgs are not using an HR scorecard. Super. I know a great consulting firm who can help you design your first one. 10, 8. Okay, super. Thank you, guys. So, all right, let's dive into the HR scorecard then. The HR scorecard is a strategic tool that essentially aligns your human resources strategy with the larger organizational strategy. How? Well, the link between the two is the strategic workforce plan that would define the HR strategy in terms of hiring, performance management, learning and development, and rewards. The HR scorecard helps you measure and manage your human capital. It drives organizational performance by ensuring that the HR tasks are relevant to the company's objectives. So think of the HR scorecard as a strategic HR dashboard. It gives you a snapshot of your human resources performance against the strategic HR goals of the organization. You can, of course, have other dashboards in HR tracking more metrics than those on the HR scorecard. These we usually call analytical, operational, or informational dashboards. So now that we are very familiar with the voting button, let's use it again. So now, can anyone tell me, how much do you think it's essential to align HR tasks with the organization's strategic goals? So let's pause here for a moment and take a poll. Use the poll to answer the question. Why do you think it's important to align HR tasks with the organization's strategic goals? Choose one if you think it's not important. This means that you think if HR is doing its job effectively, it serves the strategic goals of the company anyway, so no need to bother. So somewhat important would mean that the alignment is a nice to have, so it can be beneficial, but basically the degree of alignment needed can vary based on specific context. The third one, partially important. So number 3, it would mean that it's important but not critical. And the fourth one, very important, would mean that aligning HR tasks with strategic goals can significantly improve organizational performance. So great. All of you who voted said that it's between partially important and very important. Okay, guys, thanks for the answers. I think it won't be a big surprise that, in my opinion, it's very important. In a smaller company, it is quite evident that we all work towards the same strategic goal. It might not be necessary to summarize it in a separate HR scorecard because we all know where to go. As however the company grows, it is very important to translate organization strategy to every function and department as kind of a North Star. Failing to get this right risks of missing opportunities and counteracts the organizational success. So like on the picture we shared in the beginning, I don't know how many of you saw it, when two teams were working on the opposite side of the river, both teams working very hard to build a way to get to each other. Without alignment, one team might be building a tunnel under the river, and the other team might be building a bridge. And they realize in the middle that they will never meet, although they work towards the same direction, only not aligned on the details. Okay. So strategic alignment does not mean that HR would not have its own priorities, like, for example, the employer brand, which seems to be a very HR-specific priority. Of course, if we think through why we want to elevate our employer brand and who is our target audience, we quickly arrive to the business strategy, but the link might not be as direct to be included on the strategic HR scorecard. We could include elements or things that influence the employer brand depending on the business strategy. So moving on to our next slide. Just to sum up what the alignment means. It means that an effective HR scorecard should link the company strategy to HR measures. It should contain relevant metrics that reflect the company's strategic goals, and it should be simple, clear, and easy to understand and use. Why? What does it all serve? Well, first of all, organizational performance. When HR tasks are aligned with the organization's strategic goals, it ensures everyone is working towards the same objectives. Remember the tunnel or the bridge on the opposite bank of the river. Second, employee engagement. So this alignment can help employees see the value they bring to the organization and understand their role in achieving the company's goals, which of course enhances job satisfaction and engagement. Third, attracting and retaining talent. Strategically aligned HR department can shape a desirable company culture that attracts high-quality talent and helps in retaining the existing employees. Fourth, driving change. HR plays a pivotal role in driving and managing change. So when HR tasks align with strategic goals, these transitions can become smoother and much more effective. And last but not least, decision-making. So strategic alignment gives HR a clear framework for decision-making. This can lead to more efficient and effective operations, obviously. Moving on to the next slide, I hope everyone is with me on the slides. What are the risks of misalignment and silos? So first, reduced effectiveness. If HR tasks are not aligned with the strategic goals, it may result in reduced effectiveness of the HR function and potential loss of value to the organization. Again, remember the bridge and the tunnel. Second, reduced employee engagement. Employees may become disengaged if they do not understand how their role contributes to the overall strategy of the company. Third, talent management risks. Misalignment can lead to difficulties in attracting and retaining talent. A good example, I think, might be diversity. So if, for example, the diversity agenda is not aligned with the business strategy, it can actually cause harm. because employees hired primarily just to tick a box and show that we are very diverse may feel isolated, undervalued, and not fully integrated into the team. And of course, this can harm employee morale and retention. Fourth, inefficient use of resources. Misalignment can result in wastage of resources, as HR might invest in areas that do not contribute to achieving the strategic goals of the organizations. Again, think of the diversity or the tunnel and the bridge that I mentioned before. And last but not least, silos and lack of collaboration. Misalignment often leads to the creation of silos within the organization, where different departments or teams work independently and without collaboration. This can hinder communication, create inefficiencies, and potentially lead to conflicting objectives. We often talk about nowadays how HR needs to get a seat at the table. What does that mean? It means that how HR stacks up to become a strategic business partner. Without the strategic alignment, surprise, surprise, HR remains a silo. So let's move on to the next slide. And let's stay awake with a quick poll again. Please tell me, what is one challenge you face when aligning HR strategy with overall business goals? We will create a word cloud out of your anonym answers. So please use the voting button again to provide a few word answers. So don't write sentences, 1 or 2 words is enough. And don't forget to scroll down to submit your answers. Lack of quality data. Yeah, I can imagine that. So use the voting button, guys. Whoever wants to share. I would assume lack of quality data, lack of collaboration between the departments. Yeah, hiring managers. That would be interesting. Expectations not clear yet. Absolutely. No company strategy. Wow, that would be frightening. We are flying blind. Overall alignment. Yes, I totally agree with that. And I saw that in many companies. No company culture. Absolutely. But you know what? As HR, you can totally drive it and be a good example. Lack of information. Yeah. Okay, data. I see data is being one of the leading causes of collaboration. Super. Thanks for collaboration, guys. It makes it so much more engaging. Lack of quality data, I see it again. Collaboration. So data and collaboration seems to be the two driving factors. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks. So let's move on and understand how we can change all that, right? So next, let's dive into the practical side of things and how can we align strategy and HR priorities. First and foremost, it's important to understand the organization's strategic goals. What are the business's key objectives over the next year, 5 years, or even 10 years? Understanding these goals allows HR to focus its effort in the right areas. Someone said in the word cloud that the company lacks strategic goals. Well, that would be a pity. I would say probably it's not documented and probably it's not in a discussed in a very structured manner. But you as HR could take the lead in that and grab your business stakeholders and sit down and discuss it. Second step would be, once we've identified these strategic goals, we need to translate them into HR priorities. This exercise we call strategic workforce planning, and we will discuss this in more detail in our next webinar. But for now, let's simplify it and let's assume that we have it already, and let's go directly to the scorecard. If a strategic goal is to grow, for example, the business, HR priorities might include talent acquisition, employee development, or succession planning. It's crucial to ensure that the tasks we undertake in HR directly support and align with the company's concrete strategic goals. What it means concrete, we will discuss in strategic workforce planning. But it's not enough just to align the tasks. We also need to measure our performance. So this brings us to the concept of key performance indicators, or KPIs. KPIs should be set based on the HR priorities, and they should be measurable, achievable, and directly related to the strategic goals. For instance, if our priority is talent acquisition, a KPI might be the time to fill open positions. If our priority is employee development, a KPI could be, for example, a number of employees who've undertaken training programs in a given period. Let's make this more tangible by working through a practical exercise. We'll introduce a hypothetical company, and your task will be to link the company's strategic goals with relevant HR priorities. The hypothetical company we're working with is called Tech Pioneer. It's a rapidly growing tech startup that specializes in cloud-based solutions. They have three main strategic goals for the next fiscal year. First, rapid expansion to new markets. Second, developing innovative products. And third, retaining a competitive edge by staying up to date with cutting-edge technology trends. So, here's a list of potential HR priorities. Some may be crucial, some could be relevant but not top priority, and others might not be relevant at all to Tech Pioneer's strategic goals. So you see it on the screen. Now, considering Tech Pioneer's strategic objectives, which of these HR priorities do you think are the most relevant? Please go to the voting button and rank the priorities listed by dragging and dropping the items where you see on the screen. You can change the ranking order after dropping it, so no worries, just drop it and then you can change the ranking. And if you're done, don't forget to click the submit button. Awesome. Okay, super. Okay, so for everyone, okay, let's wait one more minute. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so based on the answers so far, the first one is developing high performance culture. Second one is leadership development. And third one is upskilling and reskilling employees. These are the top three. Let's focus on that one. So let's move on to the next question, which is, what are the relevant KPIs? So for each HR priority you've chosen in the previous step, I'd like you to select a relevant KPI or key performance indicator from the list below. So remember, KPIs should be directly connected to your chosen HR priority, and they should contribute to achieving the company's strategic goals. As in the previous exercise, rank the KPIs listed using the same ranking as you did in the previous exercise. So let's wait 2 minutes to. So now matching these priorities with the KPIs from our list, I selected for talent acquisition, reduced the time to fill open position. I extended it a little by 20% within the next 6 months. So this KPI can help ensure we are bringing in new talent quickly, supporting the company's expansion goals. For upskilling or reskilling employees, I chose increase the number of employees attending upskilling or reskilling training by, let's say, 40% within the next year. This KPI directly supports the goal of keeping up with technology trends by encouraging continuous learning. And last but not least, for developing a high-performance culture, I chose increase employee engagement scores by 15% in the annual survey. This KPI is a good indicator. Employee engagement is a good indicator of high-performance culture, as engaged employees are likely to be more motivated and productive. So I hope this example clarifies a little the exercise, and it's how it is important to match the priorities together. So it's important to remember that there's no right or wrong answer, as I said. What matters most is that the chosen HR priorities and KPIs align with and support the company's strategic goals, concrete strategic goals. So moving on to the next slide. Now that we explored how to align HR priorities with company strategy and how to measure progress with KPIs, let's look at how all of these components come together in an HR scorecard. So the HR scorecard, HR scorecard is a strategic tool that visually represents the link between business strategies, HR priorities, and KPIs. It's designed to measure and manage HR's role in implementing company strategy and the value it adds. However, creating an effective HR scorecard is, of course, not without challenges. Here are a few common pitfalls on the slide you can see that we should avoid. First of all, surprise, surprise, lack of alignment with strategy. The most common pitfall is the disconnect between the scorecard and the company strategy. So always start with a clear understanding of the company strategy and work yourself backwards. Second, too many or irrelevant KPIs. Another very common mistake we see is having too many KPIs or KPIs that aren't relevant to your HR priorities or business strategy. This can lead to confusion and dilution of focus. It's better to have a handful of relevant, impactful KPIs, let's say 5, maximum 7, than a long list of measures that don't directly contribute to achieving strategic goals. Apply the 20-80 rule, I'm sure you heard of it. Use 20% of all KPIs that influence 80% of the outcomes. Third, not updating the scorecard. So as business strategies can change, and when they do, the HR scorecard should change as well. Failure to regularly review and update your HR scorecard is a common pitfall that really can lead to misalignment over time. And last but not least, ignoring qualitative metrics. So while the HR scorecard often focuses on quantitative KPIs, don't overlook the importance of qualitative measures. What are these? Well, these can be all sorts of survey or feedback results. These can provide insights into areas like employee satisfaction, leadership effectiveness, or even organizational culture. So moving on to the next slide, how to avoid these pitfalls. So first and foremost, you know the drill already, align with strategy. Always align the HR scorecard with your business strategy. Start with the strategic goals, very concrete strategic goals. Engage with your business partners and work backwards to identify the relevant HR priorities and KPIs. So ask the question always, how? How are we going to achieve this? How does success look like? Second, simplicity and relevance. Keep the scorecard simple and focused. We as human beings can remember maximum 7 things at once. So don't overload your forecast with a bunch of metrics. Focus on the top 3, top 5, maximum top 7 metrics that are most important and driving you towards the success that you defined in the beginning. So only include KPIs that are directly linked to your HR priorities and business strategy. Third, review regularly. And last but not least, combine quantitative and qualitative measures, of course, only then when it's relevant. Let's go to the next slide. So now that we've aligned our strategy goals with HR priorities, set relevant KPIs, and defined targets, let's take a moment to discuss the difference between leading and lagging indicators. Understanding these concepts is really crucial to effective measurement and management of HR performance. In simple terms, lagging indicators are output-oriented and measure results that have already occurred. They are often easier to measure, but harder to improve, since they represent outcomes from past actions. Examples of lagging indicators in HR might include turnover rates, or time to hire, or employee engagement survey results. On the other hand, leading indicators are input-oriented, forward-looking measures. They predict future performance. These can be harder to identify and measure, but they are easier to influence because they represent actions that can directly affect future results. Examples of leading indicators in HR might include training hours per employee, diversity of new hires, or the ratio of internal promotions to external hires. Both leading and lagging indicators play a vital role in your HR scorecard. Lagging indicators provide a clear insights into past performance and can help you identify trends and patterns over time. They are effective for reporting results. While on the other hand, leading indicators predict future performance. They can guide your decision-making and help you adjust course if needed. And they are particularly useful for managing processes and influencing future outcomes. In your HR scorecard, aim for a balanced mix of leading and lagging indicators. This will give you a holistic view of both the results of past efforts, those are the lagging indicators, and potential future performance, leading indicators. For example, if one of Tech Pioneer's strategic goal is to enhance, for example, leadership skills within the organization, a leading indicator might be increasing in the percentage of employees attending leadership training sessions, or number of leadership development programs initiated in the next quarter. While a lagging indicator could be number of ready now successors in the leadership pipeline. Remember, the right mix of leading and lagging indicators will depend on your organizational strategy, context, and your HR priorities. But the key really is to ensure that your indicators provide a comprehensive, forward-looking view of HR's contribution to strategic goals. So now let's look at a more comprehensive HR scorecard for our hypothetical company, Tech Pioneer. I hope you can all read it. I have glasses so I can, but if you don't, you're not able to read it. If you go to view and focus on content, it will enlarge it for you. Unfortunately, I cannot do it for you. So this scorecard not only includes the strategic goals, HR priorities, KPIs, and targets, but also designates each KPI as a leading or a lagging indicator and outlines timelines, resources, and responsibilities. Super important, this last three. Our first strategic goal is rapid expansion into new markets. The HR priority to support this is talent acquisition. The key performance indicator is a reduction in the time to fill open position, which is a lagging indicator as it measures an outcome of past efforts. Our target is a reduction by 20%, quite aggressive, within the next 6 months. Resources that we need to achieve this goal include recruitment software and a dedicated hiring team, or hybrid consulting to tell me where I lose the most of applicants in my funnel and why. The responsibility for this KPI lies with, let's say, the HR manager or the hiring manager. Next, to keep up with the technology trends, our HR priorities upskilling or reskilling employees. The KPI is an increase in the number of employees attending upskilling and reskilling training. This is a leading indicator as it can predict future success. Our target is an increase by 40% within the next year. The resources that we require to achieve this target include online training programs and departmental buy-in for the trainings. So the learning and development specialist will take responsibility for this task, let's say. Finally, to support the strategic goal of developing innovative products, we aim at developing a high-performance culture. The corresponding KPI is an increase in employee engagement scores, which is a lagging indicator. We're aiming for a 15% increase by the time of our next annual survey. Resources required for this include an employee engagement survey, and an action plan for improvements, with the HR director taking responsibility. Now, in real life, this action plan's most critical elements would probably be part of the HR scorecard and not the action plan itself, but let's simplify it for now. So this complex HR scorecard provides a clearer, more detailed roadmap for HR strategic contributions. It identifies what needs to be done, how success looks like for HR, and how it will be measured, who is responsible, and what resources are needed. It also differentiates between a leading and lagging indicators, providing a comprehensive, forward-looking view of HR's contribution to strategic goals. So, just to keep up the good mood, let's take a poll again. And I would like you to answer a very simple question. What is the one metric you think that your HR should track, but currently isn't? So just thinking through what we discussed today, think of one metric that would be very relevant or strategically relevant for your organization. Early turnover, super. Yeah, that's a very critical one, actually. Revenue per head, absolutely. That's a very good productivity metric. Revenue per employee ratio, productivity again. NPS, Net Promoter Score, rejected job offers, absolutely. Yeah, where are we losing the people in the funnel, right? Time to hire, again. Absolutely. Correct turnover rate calculation. Oh yeah, don't even get me going on that one. Super. Thank you, guys. It seems that I'm not talking to myself. And what I said got you thinking, which is awesome. So let's move on to the next slide. So once the HR scorecard has been implemented, the next step is using HR scorecard to drive change. The HR scorecard is not just a measurement tool, but a change management tool as well. It can be used to drive change in several ways. First, enhance understanding by providing a clear picture of how HR practices contribute to the organization's strategic goal. Second, facilitate communication by providing a common language for discussing HR practices and their impact on the organization. Third, drive decision-making by providing data on the effectiveness of HR practices, helping leaders make informed decisions. And last but not least, promote accountability by clearly linking HR practices to strategic outcomes, helping to hold HR and other leaders accountable for the results. So, now that we've thoroughly explored the concept of an HR scorecard and have practiced with our hypothetical company, Tech Pioneer, let's apply our knowledge to a real-world company, but a hypothetical scenario involving tech giant Microsoft. So this practical exercise will help us consolidate everything that we learned so far. Let's pretend for a moment that we are part of Microsoft's HR team. Our mission is to align HR priorities with Microsoft's strategic business goals that are, by the way, publicly available Set relevant KPIs, define SMART targets, and assign responsibilities. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Here are 3 hypothetical strategic business goals for Microsoft. First, AI innovation and incubation. Microsoft aims to be at the forefront of AI innovation. I'm sure you read it in the news. I'm sure you use ChatGPT yourself. If not yet, you will. Incubating new ideas and technologies within this domain. Second, drive digital transformation for customers. Microsoft is committed to driving digital transformation for their customers, enhancing their digital capabilities, and improving their customer experiences. And third, net revenue to make space for investment in AI. Microsoft plans to increase its net revenue to create more room for strategic investments in AI. So given these strategic goals, what do you think the corresponding HR priorities should be? How should the HR department align itself to help facilitate these goals? What KPIs would be appropriate to measure the success of these HR initiatives? Which are leading or lagging indicators? And what SMART targets would you set? Remember, SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And what resources might be needed and who would be responsible? So that would be my proposed, let's say, answer, cut into half actually, because it doesn't fit the screen. So I didn't indicate timeline and responsible, but not because it's not important. It's because I want it to be respective of your eyesight. So given Microsoft's strategic goals of AI innovation and incubation, driving digital transformation for customers, and increasing net revenue to invest in AI, our HR priorities might look something like this. So first objective, AI innovation and incubation. This calls for the HR priority of investing in AI skills and competencies. Somebody said it before that skills and competencies are absolutely key. I completely agree. So a good leading KPI for this could be the percentage of employees trained on AI. Another priority is nurturing leadership in AI. Somebody else mentioned leadership competence. Again, I totally agree. Where the lagging KPI might be the number of AI projects led by employees, for example. Then the strategic objective of driving digital transformation for customers could see HR priorities such as training and digital skills, with the leading KPI of the percentage of employees completing digital sales and product training. Then maybe driving diversity and inclusion and reducing attrition in digital roles, indicated by a lagging KPI of the attrition rate in these roles. The third objective, increasing net revenue to make space for investment in AI, outlines several HR priorities. First, optimizing headcount, maintaining a competitive workforce, and developing and retaining top talent. Somebody mentioned here productivity. I totally agree. When net revenue is key or cost effectiveness is key, tracking productivity measures is absolutely key for HR. We could measure headcount optimization with the lagging KPI of revenue per employee, as I said, which is a key productivity measure, while maintaining a competitive workforce could be reflected in the, let's say, turnover rate of high performers. Lastly, the employee retention rate would be a lagging KPI that shows how well Microsoft is developing and retaining top talent. Remember, this is a hypothetical scorecard. The real-life application of this tool needs to be adjusted to the specific circumstances and objectives of your organization. As we come to the end of this session, let's take a moment to review and reflect on what we've learned today. I know we covered a lot of ground, and of course, 90 minutes is not enough to, master everything, every bits and details. But we started with understanding what the HR scorecard is. Then we moved on to the linking people and strategy and people and performance. We also discussed how to implement an HR scorecard and use it to drive change in the organization. Finally, we looked at a case study, and you all did a great job in group activity designing an HR scorecard for a fictional company and for Microsoft. Here are some questions for reflection for you. First of all, what are the key learnings you're taking away from this session? Just think about it. What was the most important message for you, what you could use in your work starting from tomorrow? And linking to that, what are you going to do differently starting from tomorrow or even today? And last but not least, what challenges do you anticipate in implementing an HR scorecard, and how might you address them? These are all questions that we can also discuss in the 30 minutes call, and I'm sure it's going to get you going towards the HR scorecard. So let's move on. As I mentioned before, and even now at Highbridge Consulting, we can help you navigate these complex questions. We are a business-focused people analytics company delivering a wide range of solutions to businesses. You can check out our solution areas on our website, and we have engaging content on YouTube as well, which I highly recommend if you're interested. Our services really go beyond the scope of traditional HR. We help organizations leverage data and analytics to boost their business results. Most of the people mention data as being one of the roadblockers and having a right strategic HR scorecard. We can help you with that. If you're interested in further exploring how we can support you, we'd be more than happy to continue the conversation, as I said before. So visit our website, www.hybridgeconsulting.com. Follow us on LinkedIn because we always share very engaging content. I'm sure you're going to find something interesting for yourself as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get in contact on LinkedIn, email, whichever you prefer. Before we close, I'd like to thank you all again for your active participation and insightful contributions. Today, we hope this session was engaging and exciting and valuable for you, and looking forward to seeing you in our future webinars. So enjoy your lunch, and remember, strategic HR is the pathway to the organizational success.